I'm Matt Petruso. I'm a real estate investor, business owner, and entrepreneur, and this is how I made my first $1 million. And if you stay with us, I'll tell you all the fun stuff I bought with that first $1 million. So, before we preface all this, I am not a natural entrepreneur. I wasn't starting any lemonade stands or doing anything like that at the age of 12, right? I just knew that I did not want to trade my time for money for the rest of my life. So after college, I didn't know any of this stuff. I got thrown into a safe and secure job, but I hated it. And I ended up reading this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it changed my entire perspective because he talks about the 4 quadrants of money and how you make money. And the first is being an employee, and then you can move from being an employee to self-employed, where self-employed, obviously, if you work for yourself, the more effort, more creativity you put in, the more effort and money you might be able to get back. It's a much better system than just being paid what somebody else tells you. So employee is like the lowest rank. Then I moved to self-employed, and then in the book it talks about moving from self-employed and employee to the other side, which is the business owner and investor. So I was like, okay, how can I get to business owner and investor as fast as possible? So when I got out of school, I was working as an employee. I hated my life, and luckily I got fired from that employee job and I got thrown into being a self-employed door-to-door salesman in insurance. During that time though, I also, I was working as a bartender, which bartending was like kind of the first introduction into how I could actually be self-employed, still working for someone else, because I was given tips. The more creativity, the more effort, and the more hard work I put into something, I actually got an immediate gratification for tips. So that was my first thing, was bartending and door-to-door sales and insurance sales. So I did that for the first basically 5 years of my 20s, and I knew that I wanted to make enough money to move into the business owner section. And my goal was always to move from self-employed or employee to business owner before the age of 30. I was fortunate where I was extremely cheap with my money, and my bartending and door-to-door sales over about 4 or 5 years, I made approximately $500K. Some people think, oh, that must be a lot of money a year, right? You're making 6 figures. Yeah, I was working 80 hours a week too, so I was bartending every night, I was door-to-door sales. So I really wasn't even that good. You just have to work hard, and my time was not valuable. So I made about $500K during that first, 5 years of my 20s. Then I transitioned to a business owner, where I actually started my own insurance agency well before the age of 30 at about 26. And I beat my goal of being a business owner by the age of 30, and I became a millionaire well before the age of 30. So the other $500K became from being a business owner. So I was a millionaire prior to the age of 30, and it was an accomplishment that was well beyond my wildest dreams. So I'd moved from self-employed employee to the business owner. And then the not so fun part about how I spent my first $1 million was I invested it back into my business and into real estate and to personal development.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But you guys don't want to hear about all that, all that stuff. You want to hear the fun stuff. So the fun stuff that I bought was, when I was first growing up, my parents got divorced and we moved to the other side of town, me and my mom, my brother, and my sister. And I remember riding my bike through this neighborhood, like the rich neighborhood down the street. And I see this house being built up on the hill. It was beautiful. And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna buy the house one day. So it came up for sale, and I ended up buying that house, doing some renovations to it. So approximately about $500K into my, house on the hill. So that was the first big purchase. And then I actually bought a property. I always wanted to have a property down in Florida because I'm from Pennsylvania. It's miserable in the winter. So I wanted to have a place in Florida because I don't like cold. So I ended up buying a place in West Palm Beach, Florida. With, when I bought it, I did some renovations to it. So I have about $330K into my condo, my penthouse condo in Florida. And it's worth a little bit more than what I spent for it. So that's a good appreciating value, as well as my house. So even though I paid that, they're worth a little bit more now as well. Next thing was my white convertible and red interior Maserati. It's a beautiful car, always wanted it. It's such a eye catcher, I like attention. So that was approximately $100K. And then we'll go into watches. I bought some fun watches with that first money. I always liked watches. I bought cheap watches, but then when I got a little bit of money, I bought 3 Rolexes, an Omega, a Cartier, and 2 like Tag Heuers, those starter watches. So approximately around 50K for my watches. And then another fun little thing is my 2 jet skis. So I bought these two jet skis because it's no fun to just drive jet skis by yourself, right? So I wanted to buy a second jet ski. I got the money, so I wanted another jet ski so I could bring all my friends at least to come out and jet ski with me. So I got 2 jet skis, my trailer, and it was approximately 20K. So that's how I spent my first million. But I'm not done. I got a fun little project working. So if you want to keep along in the journey, we got a new project coming down in Mexico and a new condo that we got purchased. So more fun stuff to come. If you have any questions about how I did it or interested in other things that, got me along that path to live a life completely on my terms, then comment below, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.